Okay, fine. So very good evening to all. So today we'll try to complete the remaining modules that we were planned to complete it, and this will be a little uh, basic level of understanding because any application development we go for, we will be doing the testing. Okay, this is so prerequisites. You should be aware of JUnit testing. Only then this flow can be understood because I cannot teach you the beginning of JUnit, but I'll show you the demo of how the Spring web application is going to be tested with the combination of JUnit. And we are also going to see the usage of the procedure call using JDBC template, and also we will see the batch updates. So these are the three things that are pending right now and which we will be working around right away to complete the task. Since we have only 2 hours, I'm just moving ahead a little bit faster so that we'll complete it because I have to go and work on my tomorrow's client proposal documentation. Okay, so I'm going to consider the same application that is SkillUp Bank. This is the one that we have. So right now I'm going to okay, the SkillUp Bank is already started. Stop this for a while. So now here in the SkillUp Bank, we need to test the specific functionality. So I'm going to create a mockup code or mockup class. So where we will call it as the method. So we already have a product controller. So we'll consider this as an example. Uh, this product controller is going to connect with the product service. Okay, product service. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create the product service class. We'll go step by step. So we need to create a product service. And in the product service, we can have some method, which we are going to call it as public list of. I'm going to test this product service. Okay. So list of product. So it's a method which is going to return a list of product. Get all products is the method. Okay. Get all products. And we need to cook up some hard coded list. So here we have product. Okay, this is just an assumption. Okay, nothing too complicated. Everything is just a hard coded information. iPad, and we are going to multiply this. So let's say I'm having 3 product details. Okay, and I'm going to add all those product details into the list. So list of product generic products list equals new array list, right? Okay. So once this is done, we just add them. Products list dot add of product 1, product 2, and product 3. That's it. So finally, you can return the product list. Return products list. Done, right? So what happens here is we just created a list of product and the product is added into the list and the list is getting returned, list of product. Now what the controller is going to do now, controller is going to auto wire for the instance of the product service. So we need to demarcate them as at service. And coming back, let's go for a method public. It's going to be a string. I'm going to return a view. Okay. Get list products method. And this is going to be annotated as get mapping. In get mapping, it's going to be list. So what does it mean? We are going to capture the product lists. Okay. But this is a string, I'll tell you. And the parameter here is I'm going to create a model. We know model and view, right? We saw already the model and view. Model will carry the object, model object. So we have a model interface where the instance will be created by the incoming request handler, uh, uh, request handler adapter via the front end controller, the dispatcher servlet. As per the diagram, you need to recall the diagram that we saw in the very first time of understanding the web MVC, right? So through the channel, when this method is going to be invoked, it will forward an empty model object. And with the model object, I'm going to set the attribute. Add the attribute. Okay, so what attribute I'm going to add is products attribute. It's products as a name. But the first thing is we need to connect to the service. So for that, we are going to say at auto wired and say product service, product service, product service, right? So using this, you can call the method. So list of products list equals product service dot get all products. Okay, and you need to punch in the products list. So what we are doing now, collecting the list of products and adding it as an attribute into the model object. Finally, return to some page. So let's say product view. We don't have any JSP page of product view, assuming that there is one product view JSP page. So when we hit the URL, the endpoint, it will redirect to the product view JSP page, finding the model attribute object, and then it will do the process. But that's understanding level. Okay. So now what exactly happens here is we hit the endpoint. Okay. So just a second. We have to wait. Yeah. Okay. So basically, if you see here, the first step is the endpoint which is created. The second step, there is a model acceptance object. This will be cooked up by the flow of the dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet will give a call to this back controller endpoint method, right? So it will get to know that it needs the model instance. The second thing is we call the product service and get all the products details, which is of list. It's a list of product, and the list of product object is added into the model. And we are returning the view. When it goes to the view, it will go along with this model object only. That is the understanding. Okay, this is just a simulation part. Now this need to be tested. I want to test whom? I want to test the product service. Product service need to be tested along with the endpoint, and get to know whether we are coming to the right view page or not. Okay, so these are the levels of testing that we are going to do. So now let's fully publish this. So JUnit, probably you might have heard about in many scenarios. So it's a unit testing. Unit means a function level, a small unit, a small set of code is going to be tested. That's why we call it as a unit testing. Okay, a unit of code relevantly. Okay, it's not an end-to-end testing, right? So it's not a user acceptance testing or something like that. It's a developer can perform a unit level testing in order to avoid the maximum bugs before it is handed over to the tester. In spite of doing JUnit unit testing, I'm sorry, there are chances that your unit might go wrong because your unit test case might not be properly written. Okay, but the tester might able to identify the bug and they will get to know about the bug and they will brief it. That's all fine. But to the certain extent, it's good to have a unit testing in place. And that's what we are focusing here. How the Spring can integrate with the unit testing. Okay, fine. So this piece of code is ready. Controller is there. Service is there. Returning of the object and returning of the view page is all going to be properly tested. So to test this step by step, we need to proceed. The first thing is we have to go to the pom.xml. Why? Because we need the relevant dependencies to be added, right? So what are the dependencies required? We are going to see that now. The first thing is we need the JUnit. Okay. So right now you can see there's a JUnit available. I'm just removing this because I'm
Little
adding.
bit,
Hello.
little bit zoom, sir. I'm unable to see.
Which one?
Hmm.
The pom.xml?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm not going there actually.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, so here in the UI, we are going to add JUnit. The existing JUnit I've removed because I am looking forward for the latest version of 4.12. Hope you can see this. Can you see that? Can you read now? JUnit 4.12 library is added. The next thing that we have to add is Spring Spring hyphen test. There is a specific API written exclusively for testing, and that is called as a Spring hyphen test. You can hit OK. So Spring test is added, JUnit is added. The next important thing is we are going to mock the execution flow. Okay, mocking is going to happen here. So when we are going to mock the entire scenario, we need a Mockito library. Okay, so Spring is going to integrate with Mockito. Mockito library is required, or the Mockito dependency is required. Mockito-core. If we are using more advanced JUnit 5 with Jupyter, then we will go for Mockito JUnit Jupyter. But I'm not going to use this because this can be used relevantly when we go for Spring Boot. Spring Boot will by default look out for JUnit 5, which is integrated with JUnit Jupyter, which has more added features, but that's not required right now. Okay, just go for Mockito core and hit OK. So what happened here? We have added the JUnit, we have added Spring-test, and we have added Mockito-core. Correct? The next important library is Hamcrest. Okay, it is called as a Hamcrest. This is a supportive library which we need to add it. So just choose the Hamcrest library. Okay, so it should be of test, right? Hamcrest scope is compile. Okay, let it be.
Mockito and Hamcrit also used for testing as sir.
Hamcrest is a supporting library, not necessary that it should be used with testing. It can be used for normal development also. I'll show
Oh,
you. Mm, okay, fine. So the important thing that you have to add here is if in case you don't want to use the functionalities of Hamcrest, this is absolutely not required. JUnit, Spring Test, Mockito Core. These are the three essential libraries that we need to play around. Hamcrest is a supportive library. Okay, supportive library. You're getting it? So once after we have added everything, now it's time to go into the source test Java source folder. You can see that directory representation as source test Java, right? I'm not going to the main. This is your main development code, but I'm going to test it. So let's go straight into the source test Java, right click and create one class. I'm going to provide a package for this com.demo.test. Any package would suffice. Any class name you can write. So I'm going to call it as a test controller service. Okay, it's a flows like controller and service, right? So I'm going to test both. So it's going to be called as test controller service. Any name you can provide, not an issue. Okay, so now we have this test controller service in place, right? Now I'm not going to use any of the annotations here. Okay, the first thing that we are going to do right now is I'm going to create a mock MVC. We are going to test it on MVC application. So first thing that is required is private mock MVC variable. Sorry, mock MVC. Uh, Here it is. Okay, mock MVC. Okay. So if you go into this class, I'm not creating an instance as such. Okay, it's just a variable that we have created. You can see a lot of methods are available and setters and getters. So a lot of codes which are there carried inside this mock MVC. Okay, we'll be using a specific method. We'll see that. The next thing that we have to do is, I'll tell you why we are going to use this mock MVC when we go to the code. The next thing is we need to get the controller instance because we are going to mock everything. Okay, everything is mock. Mocking is uh, acting like. Okay, acting like the component of controller, acting like the component of a service, acting like as though the service is going to be the service method is going to be called. Everything is like more of mocking. It's not real. It's not going to the server and then hitting the database and then getting the data. No, the simulation of that code is going to be mocking. Okay, you know the term called mocking. Okay, it's not real. It's made to be acted like something else. Okay, so controller instance is needed to mock. You need service instance to be mocked. So the first thing is I'm going to use controller service controller instance. So for that I'm saying private. What controller we have? What is the controller name? Product controller. Correct. Product controller. So you're asking for product controller instance. Product controller. this need to be annotated with mock inject the instance by using inject mocks. Okay, inject mocks. Uh, Now, finally, we are going to end up by reaching to the service. So we need private account. I'm sorry, product. We have even account here, right? Product service, product service. Whom are we going to mock actually? I told you, right? Who's going to be tested actually? Whom I'm planning to test? I'm planning to test controller or the service? Whom I'm planning to test?
Product service.
I'm planning to test the service. Correct. So I'm not going to test the controller. I'm going through the channel of controller in order to test service. So that's why it is just inject mock. But the actual mock is going to happen in the product service. So the product service is going to be annotated with at mock annotation. Okay, at mock. It all comes from your Mockito library. So we need mock MVC. Mock MVC is the representation of your entire MVC application. Okay, it's a main entry so that you can use that mock MVC to call specific method acting like an MVC application, acting like an MVC application, acting like a controller, acting like a service is all where we highlight this term called mock testing. Okay, fine. So we got the controller instance, we got the service instance. Now we need to do some initialization work. Initialization setup work have to be done. Initialization setup has to be done. And for that, I'm going to create one method, okay, called public void setup. Any method you can use, any method name you can use there. Not necessary that it should be set up, but the important annotation that you need to annotate here is with at before. So what does that at before means? At before means before any test is executed, you need to set up the platform. Which platform you need to set up? You need to set up the MVC and controller platform, activating all the configuration codes. Everything need to be set up properly. So we have a two-liner of statements here. The first one we'll be using is Mockito annotation, Mockito annotation dot uh, init mock. Okay, but this is seems to be deprecated. Uh, so they are asking us to use open mocks instead of init mocks. Okay, so I'm going for instead of an init mocks. If I use init mocks, it will say the method is striked out, saying that it is a deprecated method or obsolete method. So what they are saying is you better instead of using init mocks, you use a method called open mock. Okay, but why it's this open mocks is still deprecated? Correct. Now it is correct. So instead of using your init mock, you're going to use open mocks. Now inside this mock, I'm just going to use this. This is the current object of this class, which is representing your mock MVC. Okay. It asks for the object. Okay. The current class object you need to set up. So what this will do is, what is the need of this is, it will open the mocking environment. Okay, mocking environment using this specific class. Using this class, it will launch an environment and it will make use of the annotation enabled configurations to be loaded. Annotation enabled configurations will get loaded. Wherever that configuration class is there, all those at configuration class will be automatically picked up by this Mockito annotations. That is the meaning. Is that clear? So Mockito annotations dot open mocks, the current class instance have to be forwarded. This is step number 1. This will help us in identifying all the configurations that we have written here in the development code. Okay, in the skill up, if you see, we have written many configurations, right? Configuration, initializer, everything will be auto picked up and made the application context ready for mocking. Now, the next important thing is, on top of this, we need to set up the environment. The controller have to be set up properly, right? So in order to perform the a controller setup, we are going to use the Mock MVC. This is your MVC platform, right? It creates a it is creating a dummy MVC environment. This is going to create a dummy MVC environment. So it's this dot mock MVC equals, you can say, mock MVC builder. See, I'm building the MVC and it returns a mock MVC object. So mock MVC builders dot, it's not a server right now, right? We cannot go to the server and then test it. Instead, I'm creating it like a standalone setup. And in that standalone setup, it is asking for the controller class. You can provide as many number of controller class that you wanted. But right now I'm going to offer whom? The product controller. How many ever controller that you want to use it for mocking the service channels, you can add them as well. It's an array of object. Dot, there is a method called build method, which will return you a mock MVC. I'll be using this mock MVC shortly. Okay. So what this class is what this line of code is doing is, we use a builder class, MVC builder, for building the standalone environment for a controller and return the MVC instance based on the settings. Mock MVC instance will get returned. This is not instantiated, right? I haven't instantiated here. Please make a note of it. I didn't instantiate. So the instantiation is going to happen through the builder class. Mock MVC builders dot standalone setup, offer your controller instance and call the build method, which will return you the mock MVC. So we are supposed to do only these two settings, 1 and 2, only two settings. Okay. Then the next thing is, this is what these two settings are going to happen when these two settings are going to happen before any test is going to be executed. Before we execute any test, it should set up this environment. That's why it is called as before the test, before annotation. The next thing is, public void test account, test product service, right? We are going to test the product service. So public void test product service. This might throw exception if in case it is having any exception. So you can say throws exception. So, and this is the method which I'm going to demarcate with an annotation called @test. So where the test case will be written, the unit test case will be written where? Here, for testing one of the service method. So in this class, you can create n number of methods like this, and all the methods have to be annotated with @test. You can run a specific test or you can run the entire test. It's up to you. Okay, how you want to run them, it's your choice. But in order to create a test case, we are supposed to use @test annotation. Okay, is that clear? Then inside this is where we are going to write a set of codes. The first thing is, I'm going to carry the same thing. Okay, this one. Okay, so I'm going to use this. Okay, I'm just copy pasting the same code here because it's mocking, right? So that's the reason. Okay, so we have created a mock object of products list which carries the same. It can be anything. Okay, you are not actually testing the data. What is there inside the data is not a matter at all for us. Okay, it doesn't matter for us. You can give anything which is entirely different from what we have there. Okay, it can be a different products. Let's say mobile phone, and we have wallet. Okay, anything, doesn't matter, right? So it's here the data is different, but only we are trying to mock, that's all. So after having this data readily available, now we already have this mock MVC instantiated because the setup method will get executed even before the test product service method gets executed. Why? Because the method is already demarcated as what? At before this test is executed, you're setting up the instance for the mock MVC. So coming down, we can go ahead and use the first thing. First thing is uh, when this mock to have should happen. When are we going to mock this? And whom are we going to mock? So for that, we have one of the when and what to let's say what to return. Okay, when and what to return for a specific service called product service, right? So here I'm going to use a method called when. If you see, when is a static method, so we go through a static import, and the class it belongs to is Mockito. Mockito, when is a static method, so what import is happening? Static import is happening, so I don't need to use the class name anymore since we have the static import available in place. So when the mock should take place, that is the kind of settings that we are trying to enforce here. So when you already have the account service, right? The instance, I'm sorry, the product service. So when the product service is going to give a call to the method called get all products. So whom am I mocking? The product service get all products method is what I'm mocking. Okay, so when a product service dot get all products method is going to be invoked, then it should return. Okay, we have something called then return. There are multiple methods are there. It will take more time. Okay, but I'm just giving you a glimpse of the initial essential functionality to be used during a typical testing, a unit testing. When a specific mock method is executed, what it has to return, I'm defining that. Then it should return, okay, it should return none other than this accounts list. Okay, so I'm going to say list of account, I'm sorry, list of product, I'm always saying account, list of uh, product. See, automatically it picks up product service. So typecasting, right? Okay. Mm, I'm sorry, product list. Is that correct? Yeah, now it's correct. So if you see here, what is the actual use case? When we call this get all products, it should return what? The products list. Okay. but it's dealing with the object so that the object is fine-tuned with list of product. Okay, explicitly we are doing a typecasting. The reason is it is going to be treated as a topmost class called object. Okay, so we need to typecast them and consider. So when we call this method, when the mocked service class is going to call this method, it should return list of product. That is a meaning. So when we have set the constraint on when and what to be returned from the mock, the next thing is we need to initiate the workflow. The workflow will be initiated with this dot mock MVC. Okay, we have the mock MVC and dot. We can start performing the workflow. So we have something called perform. Okay, initiate your testing workflow. So perform what you're going to perform. We need to reach this. How you will reach this method? How you can reach this method? Through service. So because the method is there inside the service. So we are using the service object. But before reaching the service, whom you are supposed to reach? You are supposed to reach the controller and then you will reach your service. Correct? The request goes to the controller and the controller will hand it over to the service. This is the flow. Now, for this purpose, we have the perform flow. What type of a request is that I'm going to send to this controller for mocking this product service? Get request. So in testing, in the unit testing, we have something called get offered by. It's again a static reference. So you can see there is a get URI and string templating. Overloaded methods are there. It's a static method. So in this get, you are supposed to offer product slash list. So what is this? This is your endpoint. So it says, hey mock MVC platform, perform an request of get to this particular endpoint. Only when you reach that endpoint, the actual product service can get mocked, right? In order to identify the return. You're getting it. So just go and cross check in the controller, the product controller, the class level that we have kept is product and the method level that we have kept is list. So product slash list is the endpoint. Once this is defined, like we did yesterday for security, okay, we are going to chain them. Dot, you can say and expect. When you access that URL, what you are going to expect as a result. This is the important thing. When we access the endpoint, the return should be the status check. We have another static method called status. Okay, from result matcher dot. There's a method called is okay. So your return should be 200. What you're expecting? Success response. When I hit this URL, I should get success response of 200. That is the meaning. Is okay means it's a representation of the 200 response number, right? Now, then again chain it and expect. Not only that, I also need to expect the view. So you have another static method called view result matcher dot the name of the view. What is the name of the view that we are sending from the product controller? Product view. So this you are verifying whether it is actually returning the product view or not, right? The next thing is dot and expect. The last thing is model. We are also going to check the model, status, view and model. So what is model? Model is going to carry the list of product, right? So here I'm going to say model dot attribute. What attribute you should get from model? What is the attribute name? Products. See how many things that we are testing within this. It should be products and so here where I'm going to use the ham crest. So the reason is when it is returning, anyways, it should return the product list and the attribute check that we are doing here is products. and we are supposed to check if that list is having the number of object or not. Okay, so I'm going to say has size org dot hamcrest dot matches mm, matches. Why I'm not getting? Oh. Hamcrest library. What is the version? Same thing I'm using. Okay. Okay. Let's check this. Org dot hamcrest. Mm, four matches. Do they have has size? They have only as item. Org dot. This seems to be quite weird. There should be a class called matches. Org dot hamcrest dot matches. Let me do a one round of build. Let's see if this should work. Mm, Base match. Just now I tested. What I'm trying to test here is trying to check the size of the list. The list size need to be tested. This is the piece of code which I worked. Why it's not working? Mockito core, JUnit, Amcrest. There it's working, here it's not working. Why is it? Two point two test, same thing. Skill up bank 3.9.0 Mockito core. Slightly there's a weird response coming, I'm not sure. Let's see. Ultimately weird. So if you see here it is accepting. So score matches. How come here it's working and here it's not working? Same application, similarity, everything is same. Let me investigate just a second. Let's see what's the issue. Start looking for any sub dependencies. Matches, even dependency. I guess there's a dependency issue. We'll resolve that. rest. Yes, import is all correct. Okay, not an issue. I'll just check that. Check that. So right now it's only till the product view. So once after we set this, actually I'm trying to find the size. I'll tell you what is actually happening. If you look at this, this is 3. Okay, how many products we have set? 3 product object as mock object, and that object is what we have forwarded as a return should be. Okay, so it is validating this 3 object, and the 3 object in this should be the return of this get all products. And so I'm saying the count should also be 3, but actually you're saying 2, but the return what we are setting is 3. The reason is developer might have additionally added one product or additionally added one product information via the database. Okay, some mistakes might developer do. So thinking that developer have done some mistake in the code, adding some additional object, but the actual test case should be for this is only 2. What should be returned from this method is only 2 products restricted, not 3 products. That's what you're supposed to test for. So when it is 2 and when it is returning 3, the test fails. But when you return 3 and your expectation is also 3, then the test will succeed. Okay, so either the test fails or the test will succeed. That's what which we are trying to look out for. Anyways, uh, it's I'm unlucky that I'm unable to use this library. It's so weird. In one project it works. I'm not sure where the problem is. I'll also run that code and I'll tell you. Okay, not an issue. So here when we run it, okay, I'm not going to. It's already been started. You can see the application is running. You can just go ahead, right click, run as JUnit test. Okay, so this will launch the JUnit tabs on the IDE, and the test will be executed. And it says it is failed. No model and view found. Why no model and view found? View, product view, model we haven't set. Okay, fine. I'll do one thing. I'll take you to this part, this controller. Okay, that code and this code is more same, but here it is all account. That's why I was frequently talking about account, which I was working in the afternoon. So here it's all about the size and returning 3. Okay, so if I right click this and test the unit, okay, this is deactivated. Open mocks. These annotations are manually given. So this is something which I will come and explain. I thought of explaining this after that code works, but so now you can see that when we run this test, it says success. Green bar appears, runs one test case, errors are 0, failures are 0. So there's a tick mark saying that this test is successful. Same code, only this line we have a challenge right now. I don't know what's the challenges. We have to investigate that. Now to make it failure, okay, I'm going to say 2. The hash size is 2, but the expected is 2, but what is actually returned is 3 instance of account object. Size means it is finding the size of the object, the list object. Now it should fail. Of course, it is failed. The reason it has failed is you can have a look at here. Okay, expected is 2 account object in the list, but what is coming is collection size is 3. Okay, it's giving 3. So that's the challenge here. So if in case by mistake the user have added or the developer have added one more object, then obviously this test will fail and this need to be uh, worked out. You need to fix the issue. But the thing is, maximum number of permutation and combination ways of testing have to be done. Okay, so if you look at it here, if I'm giving a wrong view name, okay, so let's say accounts, if I give a wrong view name, now the test will again fail. But here I'm giving 3 because these are the different expectations that we have, right? Expectation and expect, any number of expectations you can have for that particular single method. If I run this 3 and 3 matches, but prior to that there is one expectation and that fails. And so now you can see view name expected is accounts. What is expected? Accounts, but what it is actually returning? Account. You can see it's just returning account, but actually what I'm expecting is accounts. That's why it fails. But it is not going to the next expectation itself. Is okay? Is first one is success? Yes, of course, first one is success. Second one is failed. If you want all the 3 to be success, then you need to ensure that the code is correct and your test case, what you have written, is also correct. This might be a time consuming code. Actually, we need to write the code again and again. It seems to be sometimes the development code is pretty easy. Now all the test cases are success. You're getting it? So what is actually happening is we are mocking the account service method. For that, we need to perform the URI request of get. This is also a mock, not real request. It's not going to the server and requesting, a mocking. And the response of that URL endpoint should be 200. That is the expectation. And it should return a view name of account. Even though we don't have any JSP page of such, still just checks the view name. And this is okay. Both are correct. Model should be the model which you are returning should be of accounts, and it should return with minimum. The list should contain 2 objects or 3, not minimum. The size should be 3 objects exactly, so that this expectation is also success. So when all the expectations are met, then your test is succeeding. Otherwise, it fails. In any one of the expectation, if you go wrong, then sure there is an test failure occurs. So this is the actual introductory part of how a testing would work like. Now, the one thing that I wanted to explain here is we use annotations to enable that at run with Spring JUnit 4 class runner, context configurations, whatever configuration classes that we have to be mentioned. And it's a web application enablement. So we have to say web app configuration added to it. But these annotations I'm not using because I'm replacing all with what? Mockito annotations. At the setup, it will automatically pick up everything. We need not provide these annotations at all. It'll bypass this and you can quickly go ahead and use mockito annotations.openmocks, opening the mock with the help of mockito annotations, which will look out for all the annotations of the configurations and load the relevant configurations in order to set up the mock MVC environment. This happens before the test. Is that clear? So there are multiple annotations are there. You can just go and have a look at it. Test related, test before, inject mocks, mock, run with. Okay, so there are multiple annotations which are relevant to the uh, the test cases are available. So if you see after, okay, after is org.unit, it's a JUnits references. So after the test, what should happen? Before the test, what should happen? During the test, it's all about at test, and after it is at after, and before it is at before. That is the meaning. Is that clear? So before is very important because there where we will be setting up the environment. The whole environment will be set up there. So now the question is, why am I not getting this here? I don't have any clue. Probably there might be some clash in the existing library. I'm not sure. Completely not having any clue. The same thing works there. The same Maven repository. Everything is same. Now it is coming. See? So where it went so far? Okay, matches dot size. Okay. So I was looking out for this matches actually. One, two, one and two. Org.hamcrest matches as size products. What is the issue? Okay, here I've closed. Okay. So let's test this. Right click. So yesterday I told you, right, even though we are a little bit of prepared, this kind of a shocking experience might happen. That's okay. It's all a part of a game. So far, this is what I was searching for deliberately. Where the matches are, where the matches are. I don't know why the ID was not able to pick that up at that time. Now the test fails. Why it has failed? Why? What's the issue? No model and view. Model and view is there. Product controller. Product. Yes. Why it is not a view? Because it's a REST controller. So it should be a controller. Because REST controller, what it does, the return of the string will be just appended into the response, right? It will not redirect to the view operation. So, but I want to treat this to a view. That's the challenge. So whenever you would make a change in the code, here we need to mandate do a full publish, okay? Because in the main development code we have touched. So we need to do a full publish. And so that mm, Actually, this startup of the server is not required to run this, but the code change should be reflected because it's just a testing and we are doing mocking. So server references are ideally not required. Now it is success. Okay, since the code have been changed, now it is success. But if I say 2 here, then you will have a challenge. So actually, it is not hitting the real-time service database and nothing is happening. It's not going to the server, nothing happens. Now there should be a failure. Why the failure case? Because the expected is 2, but what comes out as a return number of list, a number of object in the list is 3. So if I reduce here 1, then literally this test would pass. It will take some time for you to, if you're very new to this, then obviously, one single shot you cannot understand. Okay, so being a developer, we majorly concentrate on the development of the code, so we are well used to it. But this is also an essential part. You should be having some basic knowledge about how you perform a testing in Spring MVC application. What is Mockito is, what is mocking operations are, how do you inject the mock, okay, how do you set up the mock environment, how do you invoke the controller, how do you create a test, what is before test, what is after test, right? How do you expect the expectations of the output, what are the different outputs of expectations that we can look out for, how do you perform the test operations, how do you invoke the rest endpoint, what are the get methods and post methods. We do have post method. If it's a post call, you should use post method here. So when the mock should when the mock should start, and who should start that mock, what will be the return of that mock. Okay, all these the essential things that you should be aware of. Is that clear? But if you exclusively work on testing, it's a bigger course, actually, a separate course. We can take it for JUnit, but I guess this is more sufficient in order to handle the scenarios whenever you have to work or enforce to work on the unit testing part. Okay, I'm just testing only a particular function. Okay, a small function, a small module, a small unit of code is what we are testing, and that's why we call it as a unit test. So if you have any questions on this, please do let me know.
Sir, attribute products is there. Model dot attribute instead that products keyword we mentioned. This products is object or any name or
No, it is a name. If you would have noticed here in the product controller, I kept a name for the object. This name and that name should be same.
Okay. And Mockito means actually we are testing our existing application or just we are creating that for test mocking, for example.
No, we are not testing the existing application. No.
Okay.
Unit test will not do a complete test of the application, right? We are not testing the existing application. We are only testing a piece of code, mocking it, that too. It's just a mock. So it doesn't need a database. It doesn't need a DAO. It doesn't need a server. Nothing is required. Just a piece of code is going to be mocked.
Okay, but that for that piece of code we are giving the input that only no.
Correct. Correct. We are giving the input. Yes. So this is the place where we give the input, right?
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Mocked input and expected output, and what should be the actual output of the functionality.
Okay.
Everything is complete mocked setup here.
Okay. That existing code, that piece of code, we are not here created for separately. Just existing that piece of code, we are testing using the inputs we are giving.
Dummy input, and yes, exactly correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Someone was having some other doubt.
Yeah, sir. In Mockito framework, we are having one method called spy, sir. What is the use of the spy?
See, there might be multiple methods in order to perform your operation. So when you go for, you talk about the direct Mockito static operation method.
Yeah, in one of my JUnit, they are using spy.
Okay.
So I want to know the purpose of that spy.
Yeah. So see, whenever you're operating on top of this Mockito, generally I'm saying, okay, it's not just about the spy. Even I have not worked directly with the spy, so I don't know whether I can give a right explanations. But in general, any of the static method that you operate on top of this Mockito, what it does is based on the functionality of operations. Let's say, for example, we use a perform here instead of a perform. Let's say if it's going to be a spy. Now, what the spy general understanding of mine is, the spying of operation happens that your flow of executions, the performance of the execution of the test will not be aware of the environment. Without the knowledge of the environment, you will ensure that your testing is going to be monitored by someone else or some other object in order to trace the unknown availability of bugs within the piece of code. For example, let's say we have deliberately written this piece of code to test it. Okay. But within this piece of code, I need to set a spying operation where it should go through this complete test case, but without the knowledge of the environment that we have set. Okay. This is the environment that we have set here, right? So without this environment knowledge, you want to intervene into the complete testing operations and see if there are any unknown bugs can be identified, which could not be identified by the purpose of the explicit code that we have written. So this is the base understanding, but technically how it is working, how it is enabled, that I'm not sure actually. So whenever the static methods of these Mockito operations, you ensure that it is all within the workflow of the test cases. Okay, they are only going to be operated within the workflow. These are the workflows. So it could be a spy method which can intervene into this workflow and then find out if there is any unknown bugs are there, or there can be some other static method also which can be used. Okay, but the one thing that you have to understand is any method you go for, it's for the purpose of uh, the test case workflow. That's what the understanding is.
Okay.
Okay. I guess I didn't leave anything. So here you can see I haven't mentioned any annotations as such because that's been replaced with help of Mockito annotations.openmocks. The real configurations invocations you should not do. Okay, that's why it's better to avoid the usage of explicit annotations. When we go for Spring Boot, there again we'll be using a mocking, but there we will not use most of these configurations because it's going to be automated in Spring Boot. Okay, even the configuration setup, right, which you see here, can be automated by Spring Boot itself. We just straight away come into it and then use the expectations flows and perform your test case. That's all. Rest of the configurations can be completely avoided. Okay. Okay. Any other question you have? You should know the difference between inject mocks and mock. Okay, mock is exclusively for the the component which we are going to mock. I'm not mocking the controller. Please make a note of it. I'm not mocking the controller. Okay, I'm going to directly mock the product service. So I'm using at mock for the product service. That's why if you see when and then return is on top of product service, not on top of controller. Okay. But controller is needed for the environment because through the controller channel only you have to go and hit the product service. That where you should know the difference between the usage of inject mocks and mock. Okay, so one small problem that we had was the matches. I'm not sure why suddenly it was not appearing, and suddenly now it appeared. It's all a weird situation. Okay, so this is what is the base things, and this is how you go forward in performing your testing. The next two things that I wanted to cover, I'm not sure I'll be having much of a time onto it, but let's see the best of what is possible to be done. There are two things. One is um, we have to go for the batch update. So let's write a batch update code here itself, not an issue, right? Skill up, go to the DAO. Okay, so here where we have the account DAO and account row mapper. So we are going to make use of this account DAO for performing the stored procedure calls and batch update. So first, let's understand the logic, what is actually happening and which table are we hitting. Okay, it goes to account, right? Insert into account. Okay, add account is there, find by account ID is there, find all. So this is a DAO. Okay, so we'll go ahead and create one method out here. Public account, it's for account, right? Account batch update. Just have this as a method. And this doesn't return anything. So JDBC template, we already have that. Dot execute. I'm sorry. JDBC template dot update, right? So we have something called batch update. This have to be noted down. Okay, now I just wanted to give you a differentiation. If you look at the insert operations that we have done so far, is falling under the category of update. But right now we are going to figure out with a new method called batch update. Okay, and we have to see what are all the differences that we have in here. Now, in the batch update, you'll be performing either update or delete or insert or whatever you wanted. So I'm going to use an insert statement. So insert into the table name is account, right? Insert into table name account, and values are going to be values of what do we have account? Yes, we have. So select star from account, select them. Just looking for a schema. Okay. So this is what we had, right? These are the informations. So account ID, name and balance. Okay, so then we need 3 placeholders. Then we need to create an array of object. Please make a note of it. It's going to be an array of object because it's going to be for a batch update. So what we can do right now is dropping in the piece of information that's required. So let's say list of object. So a list of object array, and inside this list, list of, actually this will increase the line of code. So let's say list of data. How we can manipulate this. Mm, let's temporarily create array list. So list of data dot add new object array. What are the three values? Account ID, right? Account ID, name, and balance. Okay. So let's start with the unique value of 9001. We can give a name. Let's say Ajay. Value is 3.4 F. So like which I'm going to add multiple checks. $9,002, 9003, Raj, Dave. It's going to be 4.4, 6.4. And offer this list of data. Okay. So what happens here is we have JDBC template dot batch update instead of a normal update. The query have to be written, and it's an array of object in a list. Array of object in a list. Okay. So by executing this, we have to see if we are able to see all the three inserts happening three times. It's only one time insert we have given here, right? But this insert have to be executed in a batch. So if anything, if any insert fails, then we should have the rollback mechanisms to be enabled. Okay, here. So we need to activate the transaction manager, and all those steps we can follow the same. We can activate declarative transactions or programmatic transactions, and we can roll back it accordingly. Those are all, but for batch, generally what happens is if there are 20 inserts are happening, if there is a 10 inserts which is committed and there is one exception occurred, then it's better to safely handle it with the programmatic transactions rather than declarative transactions. Whenever we go for batch update operations, you better follow with programmatic operations so that we'll have more in control rather than leaving it to the declarative. Now this method need to be called again in your, this is account, right? So account service. It doesn't return anything. That's okay. We just need to call the method. And account. Okay. Then we have to call this method from one of the controller at get mapping batch insert the endpoint name, public void insert batch, and down here you need to auto wire for at auto wired account service, account service, account service dot batch update. The flow is clear. So now so full publish. I guess you can follow up what I'm doing here, right? So we go to the controller, we go to the service, and then we go to the DAO. In the DAO, we actually have the actual what is happening here. Skill up bank. So now going to the backend, just look at the account. We don't have any records of 9001 starting with. So you have to go back, use the URL. Slash product slash insert was endpoint name. Batch insert. If there's any exception, we have to figure out only in the console. It's working on to done something. Perfect. The batch insert happened. All the three inserts have done in a one single go, right? So 9001, 9002, and 9003 have happened. So in that case, your batch update have happened successfully. So it can be for insert operations or it can be for update operations. That's up to you. Whatever DML operations that you want to perform here, you can perform. Update means it's not for update. That's why I'm showing you a demo of insert. You can do insert, update, or delete, but ensure that you'll have the number of values to be provided. Okay, so that you can see that there is multiple inserts are happening. So in order to work around this, what you have to do, you can use collections. You can send the JSON data where it will carry the collection of products, and the JSON data should be converted to Java object, and the objects will be loaded in a product model object, and you will have a 10,000 product object, and that 10,000 product object will get added into your collection object, and the collection object need to be forwarded here, and you will use a for loop iterations, or you can use Java 8 streams to iterate the collection and fetch the data and create the object array and represent the values and add them back into another list of bucket and forward that list of bucket which is carrying a 10,000 object arrays into this insert, and 10,000 insert operations will take place. That's the overall idea behind a batch insert or a batch update or a batch delete. Is this clear? If you have any questions, please do let me know. So internally, it is iterating this list and offering one by one of the parameter. We don't need to worry upon the row mapper or something like that here. Okay. No challenges out, but this is a batch operation. This is not for individual transactional operations. It's a batch transaction. So there's nothing to do with any declarative flow here. Okay. So you can go for programmatic transaction itself here. Okay, so another one last thing that we have to sum up with is procedures. Let me see if I can get some code for procedure. So where is the DAO? First, we have to create a procedure. First, we'll do that. Just close all these. Keep your account DAO opened. This is for batch update. And the next one that we are going to see is for procedure call. Okay. So coming to the procedure call, we have to go to the Control X and drop it somewhere here. So we already have the select what we need. Select a name, comma, balance from account where account ID equals something. Okay, so I'm going to give 9001. Let's execute this. And before that, we are supposed to use American Express the schema, right? Is that visible now, the query? So we execute account ID. Spelling is wrong. Execute them. So Ajay 3.4. So what is return? What is returning? Two values, Ajay and 3.4. What is given in input? 9001. Output is Ajay and 3.4, the amount. So the two things that you have to keep in mind here is, one is we need to call this as in parameter and out parameters. Okay, in parameter and out parameters. So now I'm going to create a procedure. So create procedure get, we can call it as what? Get account details as in a procedure. Okay. And this method is going to play an argument as in, which is, we have to start delimiter here. I worked on Oracle, but this is a little different. To check this delimiter. If anyone have worked on MySQL, you can just guide me. Delimiter. In is CCID count ID, which is going to be of int, and out is account name, which is of varchar of 20, and one more out is out account balance, which is of a float. Correct. So this is what we have, and we have to give begin, right? Begin, and here where we need to punch in this query, and instead of 9001, I'm going to offer AACCID and select name and balance, name into account name, and balance into account balance from account from account where account ID is this. Mm, select name into account balance, and delimiter. Okay, now this need to be select name account. Select name into account name. Begin and what is the challenge here? From is not valid at this position, expecting semicolon. Mm, okay, let's see if this is getting created. Undeclared variable balance. Okay. Okay. Select name and balance. So if anyone can find out this snippet, just let me know. In the account ID out, the out parameter, begin, select name into the specific account name, balance into the account balance, and account ID comes to this account ID. What else is an issue here? Let me check if there are. MySQL stored procedure, single input and multiple output query. Come on. So Oracle will be a little straightforward, unlike MySQL. In out. Maybe with in out or out. Okay. Okay, in out. Okay, selecting two from orders where this selecting two. Okay, so it's we can't go for independent thing. Okay. So this is one thing. Select balance into from count. I'm not sure if I was working like this before. Seems to be a little weird. So one output is for account name, another output is for balance, but the condition is same. And with this, if I go ahead and create, so the procedure got created. Let's test this procedure right away. So you need to say call get account details. Wow. Input is 9001, comma at account name, comma account balance, select at account name. Okay, let's see this. Call. So it's given here call. So select. So I'm saying account alone. If I execute this, it is null. Account, what is given here? C name, yes. CC name and account balance. That can be this name is wrong. Perfect. Ajay and comma at account balance. So by this way we get both the output. Okay. So we got the same Ajay and 3.4. So this is how the the procedure to be created with, and we call the procedure and we get the output. This is all happening in the backend directly using the script. But now we need to take this into our application. So how are we going to do that? What are the classes to be used in order to execute this stored procedure in the Spring? So if you have any questions on this, please do let me know. If you can't understand this, this is a general procedure implementations. So please do let me know. Any questions on this? It's clear, right? One input parameter, two output parameter, twice query because we have to fetch two details. So that's the way it is working. I'm not sure, but in Oracle, I don't think we do this way. We have a channel of single query. There should be an option here. Anyways, I don't have time to further research on it. That's okay. Anyways, this procedure works intact, not a problem. Now we need to call this procedure. This procedure need to be called from our front-end application. So the backend application. So procedure call. So here, let's create a method called public void call call get account proc procedure. Okay. So this is a method, and similar method we should have it there as well. Now, the first thing that I'm going to use here is simple JDBC call. JDBC call. As the name suggests, call means it's for procedure call. Okay, simple JDBC call object simple JDBC call equals new simple JDBC call. Okay. And what we have to inject here? Can anyone let me know? What we have to inject here is your JDBC template. The object which we created, right? That has the database source information. So this is what which we need to do. The first thing is in parameter. I'm sorry. The first thing is setting the procedure name. Setting the procedure name. And for setting the procedure name, we are going to use simple JDBC call. Okay. Dot. There is a method called set procedure name. What is the procedure name? Get account details. This name you need to apply it here as a parameter for this method. This is the first step. Setting the procedure name. After creating the simple JDBC call object, this class is exclusively used for calling this simple JDBC call class is meant for calling procedures from the DB. Okay. The next step. Now we need to pass the parameters. In parameters, out parameters are there, right? So SQL parameter source. Okay, we have SQL parameter source, which is for in. This is for in. So new map SQL parameter source. And with that, you can say dot add value. What is the value that we are going to use is for that specific input, that is account ID. Account ID. Okay. And the value which you can offer here, it's going to be what you're going to search for 9002 this time. Okay. So this is for what? Setting the in parameter. So for that we use SQL parameter source, new map SQL parameter source class reference, adding the value into it, into that instance and returning it. Setting the in parameter for the stored procedure. That is meaning. This is step number 2. Then, sorry. Step number 3. What is step number 3? We need to go for the out parameter. So let's take a map, getting the setting for the retrieval of out parameters. How we will get the out parameters, we'll see that shortly. So we already have the simple JDBC call. Okay, the same thing which you can use. Dot execute in. Okay, you need to pass the in parameter to it. And the return of this is going to be a map. The return of this execute method is nothing but a map. Okay. So I'm not going for generics as of now. Let it be. Let it be an object type. Sys out. This is a out parameter value. So we can just say map out, right? So you're executing. Finally, the simple JDBC call should be used to execute this stored procedure by passing in the in parameter. Only we have to prepare the in parameter. For output parameter preparation, it's just collecting it in the map and you print it. This is the set of logic that we need to write in order to call the procedure. So this method we need to again forward it in our service. I guess I'm running out of time. It's already 5:56. Okay. And from here, call this method and go back to your controller. Procedures and batches are kept in the product controller. Okay. So when you refer the code, please make use of this. Public void call account procedure. The endpoint I'm going to give it as at get mapping / call proc. Now this will be printed on the console. I'm not returning anything. Okay. As a object, nothing is done. So we just need to look at the console if the map is returning the right value or not. You can customize it according to your need. You can make it more dynamic by giving the input parameter dynamic and get it in a map and return it in a JSON or any references. That's fine. So now we have to go back and say call proc. Call proc. Not found. Why not found? Okay, still deployment is going on. Okay. Now the deployment is done. So let's go for call proc. Perfect. We got account name Raj and account balance is 4.4 because this time it is 9002. We gave the input as 9002, so it works intact without any issues, right? Raj and 4.4. It is working, right? So what we did in the DAO, we just created the steps in order to call the procedure. So in many times in the interviews, you will be asked for, have you ever worked on calling a procedure using Spring JDBC? Of course, yes. The most important thing that you have to note down here is highlighting to this simple JDBC call class. This is exclusively meant for calling procedures, but you need to offer the JDBC template object, which we have cooked up before, auto-wired in the class. It is there already. And the simple JDBC call should set the procedure name that we have created. And the SQL parameter source, map SQL parameter source is used for, this is an interface. This is a class implementation of this interface. We are using This for setting the in parameter by using add value. And we are using the same simple JDBC called object that we have created to execute the stored procedure by forwarding the in parameter that we have cooked up. Right? And this in turn returns a map. That map will have a key value, which is nothing but your name, the output parameter name and the value that we are getting from the database, the output parameter name and the value that we are getting from the database. And it is also giving some additional informations like update count 1. Okay, so how many record it is returning is like one map object. So that's been printed using sysout. Is this clear? Is the steps clear? So this is how you perform your procedure call implementations. If you have any queries on this, please let me know. You can make it a little more complex also. Probably this level of information is more sufficient. So we have learned the way of a batch update and as well as the procedure call. Any question? Please do let me know. It's 6:01 already. So you have to go through these codes. For procedure, this query, the script also, I will share it. Okay. So that yesterday's script, the backend, the security script, right? That also I will share it today in the GitHub repo itself. I'll create one file, a text file, and I'll add the scripts so that you can use it for your practice work. So any questions you have, please do let me know. So firstly, I should say sorry because I planned for completing this training within 4 weeks. That's how I planned for 24 hours. Usually that's how it will happen. I've taken multiple trainings in my organization, and but the limitations will be there. Anyways, here I was a little more deliberate and uh, more of abbreviated mode of training, so it extended a little bit. That's okay, but the thing is 24 hours is something the very first time that I've committed for a Spring MVC kind of a training, which I haven't done before. Hardly it'll be for 10 hours or 12 hours, but 24 hours itself is not sufficient. So to that level of thing of informations we have consumed, actually it took some time for us. So additionally, you can see it's almost some 5 hours additionally we have had, and intermittently we also had the connect sessions. So combining all, it's 35 plus hours of session is what we have taken so far. So hope this is only for uh, the delivery of the knowledge. So I extended. So I place a sorry there because time is very important. I'm very much uh, focused on time, so I should not waste someone else's time. So probably this is coming to a learning, so I extended it. Next time I'm planning to come up, probably I'll be coming up with a plan of a Spring Boot and microservice, but intermittently I'm also planning to come with Java 8 because a lot of requirements are up there in the Java 8. Any interviews, all interviews, the first thing that evaluation starts with is Java 8. Java 8 new features, the lambdas and streams have to be closely understood. So I'm in a dilemma whether to go with Spring Boot with microservice or just go with first Java 8. Java 8 will be a 2 weeks of training, and then I'll be coming up with Spring Boot. This is what the plan is, but not sure how it's going to be because of the COVID situations. We are not sure when we will be called back to the office. If it's going to be nearer soon, then sure the plans might change. If not, then sure I'll be coming up with the plans as early as possible. So if anyone interested, you can well and good join there. But this community of group for Spring MVC will keep going on. This is not the last session that we are connecting. Don't think it that way. Probably a connect sessions or general discussions or some webinar sessions which I'll be launching. So we'll be connecting there as well in order to continue career talk, which we can have. Any other career related discussions we can have, or PO, I mean, the use case which I've offered, the case study. If you have any queries, we'll have one connect session there. But the next week, I'll be completely engaged. So probably the next following week, I'll try to connect up with you people for 1 hour in the weekdays, but not on weekends because I wanted to spend some time with the family. It's been 5 weeks. It's not just I'm sitting here just for 3 hours or 2 hours. From the morning, I do a well preparations for this. Everything works fine, but in spite of that, things will go wrong. That's okay. So that's how it is. So any questions, please do let me know. And the group is always active. And coming to the recordings, almost done. So all the recordings, including today, a little bit of workaround is there. Once it is done, download access will be enabled. Once the compression is done, download access will be enabled. It will be around 10 GB of data which you need to download. Okay, just have that in mind. You should have a good bandwidth to download. I mean, you can just download one video by video, 900 MB, 1 GB. Sometimes we have taken more than 3 hours, 3.5 hours. So it's 1 GB, 1.3 GB sizes there actually post compression. So if it's not compressed, then probably it'll be 3 GB each video. So it'll go more than 20, 25 GB of size. So 10 GB of content you'll have. So try to download them and keep it with you. I thought of downloading and uploading it um, into the Telegram, but that is not required. Since we have the download feature, I will activate the download feature so that you can download it directly. I don't want to have a repetitive process of uploading and downloading. It'll take time. So that'll be done. So I guess we have done with a very long session, more than a month of time. Thanks for your patience and thanks for showing up to the session. That's something which I need because just launching with 10 people or 12 people at the end, we'll only see 1 or 2 people coming up. But today I could see almost 9 people are there. That gives the motivation for the trainer to give more inputs and get engaged. So really, thanks for that for you people.
Can I say something?
Yes, Shrital, please go ahead.
Yeah, it's been a really nice training sessions, almost full of knowledge and all. Now, one thing I just wanted to know, I have not done it, but what is the fees now? We need to pay that, right? So we didn't had any discussion about it.
Yes, Sabri, yes, because you took a lot.
That I will come up on the group, not an issue. So that is fine. Say that is a side. That is not the main motto of this training, right? That's just for some motivation. That's all on the finance side. That is different story. Anyways, I have the GPay, so probably I'll be giving the details. You can GPay me, or else if
Yeah,
you don't have GPay, then I'll share my account details. That's not an issue. That will be done.
yeah. Thank you so much. That's
Yeah.
what I wanted to ask. Yeah.
Thanks, Sheetal. Thanks for your inputs. Yeah. Anyone else to have any queries or anything? Please do let me know before we wind up.
Sir, when we do a self-practice in your case study project, if
Right.
any doubt, after 2 weeks of that, I'm going to work as agile method. After
Mm.
2 weeks, if I will approach means when you're free, please give me a
Yeah. Of course. Yes. I'll be. We are connected.
yes, sir.
We are not disconnected. We are not going to get disconnected, right? We are always connected. WhatsApp group is always there. So anytime you just ping me. As I said, I will also come up with the connect sessions, at least even if it's not for 1 hour, I'll just tune up with some immediate 30 minutes of session. Just come in there and ask your queries. Whenever I find time, I'll try to get engaged with you people because even for me, it will be a little bored, okay, to keep working only with the official work. So sometimes I need to contribute towards the passion that I have. So I'll be coming and launching. I will come with a lot of webinar sessions also. So please join there. Yes, of course, you can always be in connect, Joshua. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Karthik, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. So any other doubts? Anything that you wanted to ask?
Sir, actually,
Yes, Manimala. Yes.
yeah, actually, we want to say big thanks to you, sir, because before I joined in this session, I don't know about anything about Spring JDBC and that. Now I got knowledge on this. this and have improved lot and lot in 5 weeks duration. So thanks a lot, sir, for this
Yeah.
your session.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your participations as well.
yeah.
So
Thank
thanks.
you so much, sir.
And one thing that I wanted to ask you people is just if possible, you can just give your feedback of this training sessions, so that I want to propagate that the feedback as a feedback, because as a long run, if it goes well, this will be planned in a continual process. So I'm going outside of my known circle as well, so taking it to the public. So I'm just trying to work around on the strategies of taking this piece of initiatives to the outside world, so that those people have to see the feedback of my work, whatever I've done. So it's not just some basic feedbacks. Whatever you felt, you just put it onto the note and then share it. DM me, direct message me, so that I can use that and I can put forth on my marketing standards. So whenever you find time, not immediately at any time, but I welcome that piece of feedback, which I'll keep it as a as a added information. It could be positive and negative, not just positive. Okay, I will also I appreciate some. It's not about negative. I would say it's about improvement. Okay, it's about incremental factors of points. Please do give it, so that I can add it onto my list, and I'll try to groom myself wherever applicable, and however it is possible, I'll just try to implement that incremental areas of work as well. Okay, that's it. So thank you so much for your time. Have a great day. Stay safe. That's something very important. So every day it's going like a kind of a thrilling factor. It's been more than 1.5 years. We are in the thrilling environment. Not sure what's going to happen the next day, who's going to get affected or so. So stay safe and get vaccinated as soon as possible. Even I have to do it. I'm saying that, but I have to do that. So get vaccinated at the earliest, and if you have done, it's good. So, but do stay safe and take care of your family members. That's very important. So we'll again connect as early as possible. So thank you so much. Have a great day and have a
Thank you,
great
sir.
week ahead.
So thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. Bye.